An active day of tropical cyclones in the northern hemisphere, starting with the eastern Pacific yet again. We have tropical storm Delilah, which just formed about 5 minutes ago. Here is newly formed Delilah on satellite. Currently, you can see not the most organized system, but you definitely have that spin, which is apparent with some convection around the center. So what you would expect from a new tropical storm, but this thing is rather large compared to Barbara and Cosme that we had just last week. That larger system's reflected on the forecast cone. You can see in yellow, that's the extent of the tropical storm force wind. So you can see how large it is already for being a newly formed tropical system. Now, even though Delilah is going to stay out to sea, the center's never going to cross the coastline because the wind field in yellow is so large. Tropical storm force conditions actually might be felt along the coastline. It might clip the coastline a little bit. So that's why tropical storm warnings in blue and watches in yellow have been issued for parts of the Mexican coastline. Diving into a little more models now, you can see the forecast track. All models really agree that Delilah is going to stay out to sea, sharing a similar fate to Cosme and Barbara that we had earlier last week. And you can see the intensification forecast, what models are thinking the storm's going to get up to. Really, nobody has it becoming a hurricane. So this is really just going to be a moderate to strong tropical storm that stays out to sea. So good news there. Going to the other side of the world now, this is actually where our main threat today lies. Right off the coast of Hainan in China, we have tropical storm Wu-Tip. Now, Wu-Tip is expected, well, first of all, you can see some nice consolidation there, actually, with some pretty good convection. So Wu-Tip actually might become a typhoon, maybe. We'll see what models think here in a minute, but this is expected to move north and impact southern China. So this is kind of the main threat here. Over the next day or so is going to be Wu-Tip moving north, ultimately into China. You can see the forecast track. Now, this is not the NHC. This is not the National Hurricane Center's track, so it's going to look a little different. This is the Joint Typhoon Warning Center, so they put out products similar to the National Hurricane Center. You can see we got a 60-knot tropical storm, so 70 miles per hour, expected to move north and maintain intensity, and then it'll weaken upon landfall in southern China. Not a huge threat, but it is certainly one that's going to impact land, one that is already impact land. Hainan definitely feeling some tropical storm force conditions currently. Now, here's what the models are thinking. GFS, HAF-SA, and the HWRF, they're all calling for pressures in the 970s, which is actually strong Category 1 to a Category 2 hurricane or typhoon in this part of the world. So we're going to have to keep an eye on it. Personally, I don't think it really makes that strengthening. I kind of think it stays steady, maybe becoming a typhoon before landfall, but I don't really see anything beyond about maybe 70 knots, which is 80 miles per hour. So it shouldn't be anything too catastrophic, but it's certainly going to be impacting southern China. And then here we have our collection of models for Wu-Tip, what they're thinking off the coast of Hainan currently, but they do all kind of call for a little bit of strengthening, which would match my prediction of a maybe typhoon landfall at the most before it does move into southern China and ultimately exits out to sea towards Japan and South Korea, becoming extratropical shortly thereafter. So it's a threat for China, but it's not a big threat, nothing they haven't seen before. This is certainly not unusual for this early in the season. Just a brief overview today. I know today's update was a little long, but we have nothing in the Atlantic Basin, so nothing to worry about. United States, Caribbean, Mexico, or at least the Atlantic side of Mexico. Nothing to worry about. In the Eastern Pacific, we have Delilah, which just formed. We're going to be moving out to sea. Might clip Jalisco State with some impacts. Tropical storm force winds. Might get some rainfall, maybe up to 5 inches, but nothing too severe for that part of the world. And then we do have that 30% zone that is marked. That may develop later on down the line. That's something we're going to have to keep a watch on in the next 7 days. And then lastly, across the Eastern Hemisphere, nothing really going on. We got Wu-Tip, which is going to impact southern China with pretty minimal impacts. But other than that, really nothing else going on in that part of the world. So everything's pretty manageable. The tropics are tame. China needs to watch out. Mexico might feel some impacts. Other than that, though, it's another quiet day in the tropics.